Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So today we will start with chapter number 11 of Modern History from Bipin Chandra, and this chapter is about nationalist movement from 1905 to 1918, the growth of the militant nationalism. So without any further ado, let's start with the chapter. We will start from page number 189. Let's go with it. Gradually, over the years, the trend of militant nationalism, also known as extremism, had been growing in the country. It found expression in the movement against the partition of Bengal in 1905. The Indian national movement, even in early days, had increasingly made a large number of people conscious of the evil of foreign domination and the need of fostering patriotism. It had imparted the necessary political training to the educated Indians. It had, in fact, changed the temper of the people and created a new life in the country. At the same time, the failure of the British government to accept any of the important demands of the nationalists produced disillusionment among the politically conscious people with the principles and methods of the dominant moderate leadership. Instead of conciliating the moderate nationalists, the British rulers denigrated and looked down upon them. Consequently, there was a strong demand for more vigorous political action and the methods than those of meetings, petitions, memorials, and speeches in the legislative councils. Recognition of the true nature of British rule. The policies of the moderate nationalists were founded on belief that British rule could be reformed from within. But the spread in knowledge regarding political and economic questions gradually undermined this belief. The political agitation of the moderates were itself responsible for this to a large extent. The nationalist writers and agitators blamed the British rule for the poverty of the people. Politically conscious Indians were convinced that the purpose of the British rule was to exploit India economically, that is, to enrich England and at the cost of India. They realized that India could make little progress in the economic field unless British imperialism was replaced by a government controlled and run by the Indian people. In particular, the nationalists came to see that Indian industries could not flourish except under an Indian government which could protect and promote them. The evil economic consequences of foreign rule were symbolized in the eyes of the people by the disastrous famines which ravaged India from 1896 to 1900 and took a toll of over 90 lakhs of lives. The political events in of the year 1892 to 1905 also disappointed the nationalists and made them think of more radical policies. The Indian Councils Act of 1892, discussed in chapter 10, was complete disappointment. On the other hand, even the existing political rights of the people were attacked. In 1898, law was passed making it an offense to excite feelings of disaffection towards the foreign government. In 1899, the number of Indian members of the Calcutta Corporation was reduced. In 1904, Indian Official Secrets Act was passed restricting the freedom of press. The Natu brothers were deported in 1997 without being tried. Even the charges against them were not made public. In the same year, Lokmanya Tilak and other newspaper editors were sentenced to long terms of imprisonment for arousing the people against the foreign government. Thus, the people found that instead of giving them wider political rights, the rulers were taking away even the few existing rights. The anti Congress attitude of Lord Curzon convinced more and more people that it was useless to expect any political and economic advance as long as Britain ruled India. Even the moderate leaders Gokhale complained that the bureaucracy was growing frankly selfish and openly hostile to the national aspirations. Even socially and culturally, the British rule was no longer progressive. Primary and technical education was not making any progress. At the same time, the officials were becoming suspicious of higher education and were even trying to discourage its spread in the country. The Indian Universities Act of 1904 was seen by the nationalists as an attempt to bring Indian universities under tighter official control and to check the growth of higher education. Thus, an increasing number of Indians were getting convinced that self government was essential for the sake of economical, political, and cultural progress of the country, and that political enslavement meant stunting the growth of Indian people. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This was part 1 of chapter number 11. In the next part, we'll start with the growth of self respect and self confidence. Thank you everyone and all the best. Do subscribe and share this channel. Thank you.